Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the 16 millimeter film crew. I'm Cindy.
And I'm Dale.
This week we watched Beef season two, created by Lee Sung Jin. A young couple witnesses an alarming fight between their boss and his wife, triggering chess moves of favor and coercion in the elitist world of a country club and its Korean billionaire owner. This show or the season stars Oscar Isaac, Carey Mulligan, Kaylee Spaney, and Charles Melton. So, Dale, what were your thoughts?
I do enjoy the concept of the show, the fact that it's showcasing two contrasting couples in different stages in their marriage, their career, and the difficulties that happen. Wherein you have, of course, a young couple who have this idealized fictional version of love that nothing can happen. You have a couple who's been in the throes of a relationship who now are in the doldrums of where things get repetitive, where you have issues of infidelity on either party, on monetary issues, and issues of upward mobility in their careers. And so I thought it was a really interesting study in that for the first two episodes, but I did find that the confrontation and impact point that the first season did have, but the first season just kind of drops you right in there, like, damn, really intentionally draws you in. Where this one is kind of a slow burn, but I also feel like the writing. And yes, I like the concept of contrasting two different couples, like young couple, older couple. I don't think it's as good as the first season either.
Yeah, I did not watch the first season, so I have no idea what happened. Um, or like what the conflict was, or like I have no idea about anything. So I'm only kind of going off of this one. And I really only watched it because I liked the actors who were in it. That's the only reason why I jumped into this one. And overall, I found it to be, I like watched it, like I watched all of it, and I was like, okay, there are certain things in here that I do like. I think the chemistry between both of the couples are really good. And I like that, like you said, they're showing these two different couples at different stages of their lives. And I thought that that was really interesting. Like I liked all the relationship stuff, like when they talk about kind of like understanding love, understanding themselves, trying to figure out like how to continue providing for themselves, like what their ambitions are, what their issues were in the past. Like I liked all of that stuff. I think the other stuff where it's like they're trying like because the younger couple are trying to progress in their careers and like get basic things like health insurance and stuff, the things that they do are a little ridiculous and nonsensical to me. And I just feel like that whole part and then the part with the billionaire owner, like it just, that is kind of what sunk this for me because I just felt like it was just a little too, I don't know, it just didn't feel grounded. And I have no idea if this first season was, maybe it was, I'm not sure. But like once we get to like, we gotta go to Korea to stop the billionaire owner from corrupting the country club. It was just a little too
Yeah,
ridiculous for me.
yeah, yeah. That have a lot of issues. Like for me, I know with, of course, I think Oscar Isaac is one factor. I do think to a degree, um, both him and Carey Mulligan are amazing actors, but as a couple, even there's also supposed to be a couple facing difficulty. I didn't see that like dynamic where it would kind of be believable for them to be a couple in a way. Um, but as far as Kaylee Spaney is wonderful at this. Like her character does progress and change and all. Because like when we first meet, she's talking about, yeah, I'm 26, I don't have a degree, I'm leaving, I don't even have a high school diploma, living with this dude, and I guess Charles Melton's Austin's character, like when they first, like my thing with the show is mostly due to, I think they want to insert him as a former athlete, college athlete.
Mm.
But I think they just like Googled any random award and said, here we go. I know he did play college football. He played Charles Melton was a DB at one point. The award he wins in the show is supposed to be for linebacker, and apparently he wins it in his freshman year. And if you're a football fan, you know only one other professional NFL player has ever won it, or a college won their freshman, which is Byron, Byron Boswick, who's a notorious football player for being bad at football. But the fact that he wins that award his freshman year and is still at college, and he gets injured, I guess, his sophomore year and doesn't progress beyond that mindset. I mean, you're there a full ride, at least for a time being until you rehab yourself. And even if you don't rehab and you don't rehab all the way, you have an opportunity to like get a degree in something if you want to pivot to personal training. Or if you did rehab properly, odds are winning that award, you end up becoming at least a mid first round pick because you got that award freshman year, or early second round pick in the NFL, which means you probably pay, and if you sucked at it, you still probably make about $8 to $10 million. So he should have some kind of financial willful, especially after winning that award as a freshman. You would be notorious in college football circles, like going around doing speaking engagements. It's like this is what it take means people actually train their kids and stuff. Like a lot the connections as to how far he fell in life, it doesn't really connect that well.
Mm. Yeah. I feel like I don't know, the characters are interesting to me. And I don't know, like by the end of it, I was just like not buying that because by the end of it, Kaylee and Charles end up together. They stay
Mm-hmm.
together, and then Carrie and um Oscar, well, he goes to
But
prison,
prison, yeah, when he sees it when he comes out, yeah,
and she moves on to someone else. But like they were like it seemed like for a second like they were about to get back together. And I don't know, I just the messaging there did not land for me at all.
mm-hmm.
Because I think what he's trying to say is that like even though like you can have the most like intense, like kind of toxic unhealthy relationship because you know each other so well and you've seen this person through their worst, it's worth like continuing the relationship because they're always going to be, I don't know what that was. I'm like, is that really what you're trying to say? Is that like even if your if relationship is like the absolute like dumpster fire that it is, you should just stick it out. Or like, or is I don't know if that's what he's trying to say, or is he trying to say like, well, this is just what happens in real life. Like people are just in terrible relationships and they just stay together. Is the like was that his point? I have no idea what he was trying to say by the end of it when it came to the couples. I was just like, because honestly, I don't think any of these people should have been together at all. Like
No,
none of them should have been together.
at
And
all.
I feel so like when Oscar and Carrie get to the point where they're like, we're getting a divorce, I'm like, well, yes, like this is where we needed to
The
go.
eventual outcome of the
Yeah,
yeah,
like please break up. But like because again, all of the other like I don't know uh, action thriller whatever elements that they wanted to add into it, it kind of distracted from like their actual relationship and like ending it properly because all this other stuff kind of got in the way. And then they insinuate that she's pregnant and that she has a kid, like they have a child together. I don't know. I was just like, not, I wasn't into it just because I don't know, because I don't know what he's trying to say about the relationships. I couldn't really grasp on to like, investing in them because the whole time I'm just like, I want these people to not be together. I don't think any of them should be together. I think all of them need therapy and like they just need to like be on their own for a while because like they're not like, especially like Kaylee and Charles, like the codependency was crazy. Like
yeah,
the mistrust, everything was just like ridiculous. He was falling for somebody else. Like, please break up. Like you haven't been together that long. Like just break up.
yeah,
Like he had his mom on the phone having to convince him to break up with this girl. Like you have to leave.
yeah.
Um, and I think Oscar Isaac with all his sexual issues, where he's just like not he checked out a long time ago. Like I just feel like
Yeah.
I don't
And
know why the story is trying to bring these guys together. Just let them be
let
apart.
them be like, and the thing that got me worse is like in like the second episode, like he's talking with his sister, and it's like, oh, we got the money and saying, and then she starts talking shit like, oh, your bills came through, you in collections, my boy. You just called me asking for money. Pick a lane and stick to it. Then she goes, I went to the bank, pretending to be mom. To let me see your finances. Ain't looking too nice, boy. Just because you couldn't be there when mom died, don't mean you gotta send money to, make yourself feel better. And I'm like, first of all, man, you committed a crime, falsifying information. So slow that down real quick. But to play this man's face, like he couldn't be there to help his mother when she was dying, but you could. And to try and at least, even though he's trying to absolve that part that he couldn't be there, he's set one to help with everything. And now you just kind of like throwing it back in my man's face. It's hella disrespectful in a way. And I didn't,
Mm.
yeah, I was like,
I think the thing is like he just is terrible with money. Like that's his main issue. He is like gambling money he doesn't have. Like he is, I think, embezzling from the country club, if I'm not
yeah,
mistaken. I think that's the,
he starts to embezzle money from the country club
yeah.
because once again, Ashley is unprepared to be a secretary or a financial aid for a country club, but she gets it through blackmail. So he realizes, once she starts, filing invoices for companies that no longer exist, he could use that to pay off his debts, which I mean, eh, kind of thing. But
Yeah, it's very like he's trying to keep up with everyone else who is attending the country club or whatever, even though he doesn't have it like that.
yeah,
Which I get a lot of people do that. And I guess that's what they're showing is just like, when you start, I think when you go down that road where you are trying to like keep up with the Joneses and trying to appear like you have more than you do, this is where it's going to lead you. And he actually does have like a good monologue about that. I forgot which episode it was where he is talking to Charles Melton about like starting down a path and then realizing like you are just doing bad things, but you can't help it. Like this
yeah,
is where you're already at. And it's like, yeah, because that's kind of the journey that the younger couple go on too. And I mean, that whole situation is crazy. I feel like they try to add in a lot of elements of like social commentary, right? Where it's like, well, everyone's gaming the system, so you might as well just do it
yeah,
too. Like if
yeah,
you want to get anything out of life, if you want any type of upward mobility, like you have to be a scammer and a schemer.
mm,
And like I mm, I mean I get it. I get it. Like I feel like we are in a position where people have to do
yeah,
really crazy things in order to make money. And like that is indicative of the systems that we live in, not I mean, I don't know if it's not necessarily the people. The people are just like reacting to
yeah,
the situation. Like they had a whole episode about the healthcare system and where Kaylee's like her ovary ruptured or something like that. And they had to like spend then like hours and hours in the hospital and they just show like that whole thing. I think that was a good episode, like a good bottle episode because it takes place in the hospital.
mm,
And I thought that was really interesting. It doesn't really, it sort of leads to other things, but it really isn't like super consequential. I think what happens to her is more consequential, where she is like, oh, I don't have kids, I can't have kids or whatever. And so I want to do IVF. In order to do IVF, that means that I
I
have
got
to
it. Yeah,
give more money and I have to do more stuff. And so, like, yes, like I see how that does spiral, but I don't know. I think the moments where they try to comment on like present day things,
mm,
sometimes it can come off a little cringe, especially when they're calling them like the Gen Z couple or whatever. Like, no one talks like that.
mm,
So, yeah, back to the writing. I think it's very much like an older person trying to write for younger people, and sometimes it just doesn't come out right. Or like the fact that they're using Chat GPT for everything or whatever. Like, some of it just is a little too much for my liking. But I do think that when they are bringing up more social kind of present social issues,
mm,
I don't know if they're always like getting to the point of like what are you trying to say about this? I
Yeah.
think for the healthcare thing, that was very clear. And I even think that like for the trying to scam the system, that was also very clear. But I don't know if we're getting to like the crux of like why these things are happening, right? Capitalism. Like that's terrible. That's bad.
Mm.
Because the big bad of this season is Chairwoman Park,
Yeah.
who is this billionaire who is able to do whatever she wants to do. And at the end of the story, nothing happens
Nothing
to her.
happens there. Yeah, no, she gets out. But that's the thing. I think that's also the thing for a lot of times the rich, not even necessarily powerless people just being rich, you're able to skate away with zero consequences, like we currently have somebody in the White House who's kind of skated away with zero consequences before they became president and entrenching themselves as they become president. There it's a fact, like for the longest time people that has and have nots, and it's clear that both Josh and Lindsay and Ashley and Austin aspire to be the haves, and they're also very much mirroring each other in a way. Whereas Josh is kind of mirroring, uh, Ashley and Josh are a mirror of each other in a way, and then Austin and Lindsay are mirror of each other. Because if you think about it, without Josh, yes, Lindsay had money before, but to throw it into your partner's face about, hey, we need to help my mom because she's dying. And then now you throw it back years later, like, oh, I can't open my bed and breakfast because I gave my money to help your mother and help your family. That's kind of low. But also understand, if Josh is not a manager of a country club, Lindsay doesn't have a job. She wants to be this interior designer. He's like, all right, cool. I'm kind of enriching myself because I'm hiring my wife to do all the country club decor. But she could also seek out a job outside of the country club if she wants to be an interior designer that bad. But she rather complain about him. Same thing have Austin and Ashley. They both She comes with the idea to blackmail him, but then Austin later on realizes, oh, I should get something out of this too. And then Liz is like, cool, we can pretend you're a physical therapist. That kind of thing. I'm using whatever position of power I am in to enrich my partner, which is also what Chairman Kim tries to do with her husband, but it kind of
Hmm.
backfires in a way.
Yeah, and that is true. It's like, I guess that again, so I guess the messaging is just like, this is just what real life is. It's not trying to like correct
Yeah.
or even show like a different scenario because at the end, Ashley and Austin become like, well, she becomes the owner and the manager of the country club. And so it is more just like perpetuating cycles more than it is like learning a lesson and changing. I guess that's not really what this is about because the only person who really gets any consequences is Oscar Isaac's character, like, because he goes to prison. Like, everyone else is kind of fine. So, and everything kind of works out for everyone else, which I don't know how I feel about the end. I actually don't like the ending at
Mm.
all. That was the worst part for me. It
Yeah.
was just like, really? That's what we're gonna end this on? Like, none of this meant anything. Like, everyone's just fine, except for Oscar Isaac because he's in prison. Like, and I mean, it's just like,
Mm.
okay. I wanted more. I wanted a lot more from this show than it was giving me. I don't, because I feel like a lot of times directors want to do this kind of eat the rich type of stories where they're like trying to poke fun at or do satire or try to explore like classism and stuff like that. And sometimes it works really well. Like the actor who is in this, who plays the doctor, is also in Parasite.
Mm.
That's a great movie about class. Like
Yeah.
that movie does that really well. Like it actually has a lot to say and it's also very entertaining as well. So like I thought we were maybe going down that route, but no, we're kind of going down like a I feel the okay, I literally feel the same way about this season of Beef as I did when I watched The White Lotus.
Yeah.
It was very much like, oh, we're gonna do satire on rich people, and then it like nothing happens. And I'm like, oh, okay, so like what was the point of like I don't get what the point of this was.
Yeah. And I don't know, and I guess it goes to the writer of both. I think the first season, even though I have and like I think the issue with the first series was honestly the real life person of one of the characters. But
Yeah.
overall, the first series was actually really well done. Um, and I guess the writer, well, Lee Sung Jin, the creative behind it, also a himself is South Korean, and we've seen a lot of South Korean creatives hit on the points of class and economics of that. Um, but I guess the difference in the first season of Beef is you had a poor a blue collar worker and basically a rich upperly mobile woman, and stuff like that. So they're still both, but they're both clashing with each other. So you do see, and it all basically starts from road rage. Whereas that same confrontation is not there because those two people are the whole core of the problem. You don't really throw in like this one throws in third antagonist or protagonist and chairman and Chairwoman Kim. It stays between the two main characters. This one, I feel like, tries to add too much. You have both married couples and their individual confrontations with each other and then their partners, and then you also throw in the chairwoman and the whole conversation with her and the country club and all these other things. Like, too many clashes, and I think it's very much an attempt. Like, I think in an interview he said he intended the beef to be a 3-season thing, and I guess that's probably what the original story. But like you said, you're talking about White Lotus. White Lotus came at the same time as this. You have two in the time between Beef One and Beef Two. We've had 2 seasons of White Lotus. So I
Mm.
guess that also influenced Netflix. Oh, we want a White Lotus like show. So now you have to expand the cast of characters. And sometimes when you expand the cast of characters and you have to add conversation between other characters, the story suffers because you're adding more to a story that didn't require to be more than that. So
Yeah, I agree with that. And I also feel like if the conflict was supposed to be inspired, because that's what the interviews all these actors keep talking about, was this inciting incident where Oscar and Carrie are having this huge fight and it gets kind of physical. And then Kaylee and Charles get a video of it and they kind of use that as leverage to kind of work their way up. My thing is that, like, at a certain point, that's not, it stops being leverage
yeah.
because the other serious crimes that are going on that everyone's doing, like, completely outweighs this incident where between like a married couple who have been together for years, who it is abusive, but it doesn't seem like it's like domestic violence in the way that I maybe we understand it. Like physically, I don't think anyone's getting hurt.
Mm.
So, like, if you even, because I think at a certain point, they're like, listen, we can still use this video to kind of get what we want. And it's like, well, not really, because Josh is embezzling money. What do you think is gonna be more important? Like, the maybe incident that happened in their house that you videotaped, or the legitimate crimes that he is doing against his company?
Not
Like,
even that. Like, and she's literally forging documents for him to be a fake physical therapist. Like, what are you doing? Like,
but I don't know if did they know about that? I don't know if they found out about that one.
well, true. I think they only found out about she discovers, and they don't really kind of gloss over how she realizes. Oh, well, she looks at the address. The information of the invoices matches an account of his, but
Hmm.
like they're both kind of doing
Yeah,
illegal shit.
right. So it's like you can't even use the thing that like
Mm.
started this whole thing off anymore, and that kind of becomes more irrelevant as the story goes on. Because again, like you said, they're expanding and they're doing all this different stuff. It does make the kind of more grounded domestic stuff between the couples feel a little bit minute, especially by the
Yeah,
end. By
yeah.
the end, it's like no one even cares about that stuff because we're like dealing with this very powerful billionaire and like the cops and the FBI, and there's this flash drive, and it's just like so
And
it just gets too
and it's
big.
especially with the video, and I guess in Austin and Ashley said to them they're saying, oh, the 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 person at fault is supposed to be Oscar Isaac's character, but then both him and Carrie Mulligan go, oh, we're both bad. Like, so you go to the cops and then both people go, oh yeah, we were both fighting each other. What happens there? Because nothing, both people realizes they were like both arguing, and he took the club away from her. So then where do you go from there? It's no fault between both parties because they both realize they're being stupid.
Yeah.
So
So again, not really. Again, it's just too much.
yeah.
I think the thing I had the most issues with was actually Charles Melton's character. is like falling for this Eunice, who is
Yeah.
another Korean woman who like works for the billionaire, the
Hmm.
chairwoman. And it's a weird thing where it kind of just seems like he thinks she's hot and he likes hanging out with her,
Yeah.
but it jumps to him being like, I love you. And you're like, how did we even get there? Like, I'm so
Well,
confused
I
how we
I
got there.
I think it's kind of, this is the one time I'll do say both male characters are carbon copies. It's most likely a feeling of inadequacy. Let's be honest. Like, um, his one wife berates him for spending money, not spending money, but not being able to do an Airbnb. Complains about their financial issues. We see him decide to commit to OnlyFans for his sexual outlet. Then you see once Ashley gets the job as secretary, and she's praising making 45,000 a year. Like, good lord, have higher, have want more for yourself, my girl. And she's talking about you can be my dependent. But anyway, like, she gets a better job. She gets insurance. She has all these aspirations now. And then we see him at home eating chips, chilling in bed. He at that point feels, I guess, emasculated about, oh, she's the primary breadwinner. And now he goes to somebody, Eunice, who hears he's a physical therapist. They have a really intimate session and get some kind of physical attraction and tension, you know. So,
Yeah, but I guess I was just like, okay,
but
no, I understand
he's
that.
also stupid though,
Yeah,
as
he is
well.
a himbo,
So he's also stupid.
very
Not
much
even
a himbo.
not even a himbo. At least a himbo is like a kind person,
He
you
is
know.
well, they tried to make him kind. They tried to make him like the kind, nice one.
Yeah,
Whether he is or not, I don't think so. But
yeah,
like they that's what they're trying to message to us that he
yeah.
is a good guy.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, and I think that my issue was with it was that like he has this conversation where he's talking about like how he doesn't have any like Korean friends, like he's not around any Korean people, and like he finally is like meeting Korean people who he has like culture similarities with, and like he feels like comfortable around and stuff. And I was like, okay, maybe that makes more sense where it's like he's with someone who is like him. And that is like, I don't know, giving him a feeling of safety, a feeling of like having a place in this community or whatever. Um, and his girlfriend, or sorry, his fiance is like so annoying. I can't get over how annoying her character is. I think Kaylee is a great actress and she does a really great job, but like that character is so annoying, so entitled, so I don't know, unrealistic about life. And she also just expects him to do everything for her. Like when she asks him, "Oh, can you do this and can you do that? And can you make sure you pack my bags and stuff?" Like he's not your
At
servant.
that point, she's
Like
feeling herself though. You got to understand. Like, remember,
I know I do.
she
It's just
celebrates
it
40.
doesn't make it any less
That's,
annoying to
yeah,
watch.
and that's my thing. Like, you got a job at a country club and you want to do more. Like, my girl, you're 26 at least a GED. Like,
Hmm.
what's going on? Where's the social distance? At least bare minimum have your GED. Like,
Yeah, I
like,
she's
how did you get to that point? Like, how did you get to that point?
I
Like,
can see how she got a job at just like working at the country club. How I mean, how she's still able to do it. Like even when she does the blackmail and she gets the job, I'm like, well, how do you know how to do any of this other stuff?
it's not even that. They're living in LA. They live in California. This man is a
Yeah, that's
washed up
true.
college athlete at a time when there's no NIL. You know, and they have a clearly have a I wouldn't even say an apartment. They have like a small house
Yeah, small
furnished.
house. Yeah,
Small house furnished. Like, y'all can not income and tips from a country club ain't doing that. So
it's true. It's not.
how is y'all doing that? Like,
Yeah, I
explain.
think maybe he was like doing private training for like rich clients, but I don't know. Again, some of it is not, if I try to get into the weeds of it, it's not going to make any sense.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
going to make less sense the more that we try to think deeply
That's
about
the
it.
thing.
But
You want, like, and that's my thing. There's a disconnect, and you want to. This is what I have a problem with certain writers. Yes, you want to write about an experience, but you also have to be truthful to that experience.
yeah,
Like, that's the thing. Like, you want to, like, at least if you're like, you don't know what it's like to be like, all right, cool. Almost everybody, like, I'm middle class. I'm not gonna write, well, yeah, kind of middle class. I'm not gonna write the experience of like somebody who doesn't have a job, but somehow. has a house. That's like us looking back now, watching Friends or watching Friends or any
Yeah.
any any 20 something, 30 something who are living in New York. You work at a coffee shop. How are you affording this apartment? You're a struggling actor who gets bit parts. How are you guys affording this? Like, explain these questions to me. Like, I'm gonna look at it with a realistic eye at that point.
Yeah.
So
And that's fair.
yeah,
That's fair.
I can understand like Josh, Josh and Lindsay, because she comes from money, and then he's also a manager at a country club. So I expect him to have some kind of like at least a quarter of a million, income, But yeah,
Yeah. I mean, he is severely in debt, so he's
plus he
balling
be
out.
he be spending his money. He got like four Kobe jerseys signed,
Yeah,
old
like you
school
don't
recording equipment, Tiger Woods' golf clubs. You know,
it's like you're doing way too much, Mike.
so that's why you're
You're doing way
broke,
too
bro.
much. That's why you're broke. This is why.
So yeah,
Um, but yeah, so it was just yeah, I don't know. I kind of feel like that he tried to touch on different things and like he was talking about race and stuff, but it just didn't some of it just fell flat. It just
like
didn't really connect with me.
surface level.
Yeah.
It's like a bat. It's like a I liken this to two different movies. Of course, Marriage Story, and
Okay.
also I feel like because this movie also features Oscar Isaac, it's a bad version of Scenes from a Marriage.
Yeah, I was like, I would rather be watching that actually.
So
I would rather be watching him and Jessica Chastain. Like that was really good.
yeah,
I was like, ooh, this is tense. And I felt it. And it was all in that one house. So it was like it just felt like really, yeah, it felt really intense. But yeah, they did, the music was good. The score was really good. Got Phineas on the score, like
mm,
the score was working.
yeah,
And I liked Carrie Mulligan's costuming. I thought that was really good. I like Oscar mullet. I thought that was a good mullet.
mm,
So there were some fun things.
yeah.
But
My boy,
overall,
my boy,
not great.
Oscar needs Pedro Pascal's agent because Oscar Isaac was on that point for a while where he was in everything, and then he just been getting bad kind of mid stuff for a
He's
while.
still doing everything, but like, yeah, I
It's not
think that the
quality.
hit, the yeah, he's not batting at a at the
Yeah.
same range.
So
I still love you,
it's
Oscar, but
yeah. All right. So it's been a minute, but we decided to fill you in with some news because a lot of stuff has happened that we feel that we should catch up on and you know tap in a bit. So first off the rip, of course you guys have heard over the last couple weeks about the ongoing buyout of Paramount. The two main bidders were of course Netflix and Warner Bros. Discovery. Um, then of course Netflix backed out of it. But recently, um, Warner Bros. Discovery shareholders greenlit the 111 billion. I'm just saying that number out loud makes me cry. Merger yesterday. Um, with nearly 99% of shareholders backing the deal. They also voted down CEO David Zaslav $887 million golden parachute. Even though that one's just advisory, so don't hold your breath on that one. And the next stop for it will be both the U.S. regulators, which we know with Paramount how involved they are with. I guess the Elson family is with Trump. They shouldn't have an issue with that. Um, but the major stumbling block most likely will be the European Union and the UK regulators for that deal to go through.
yep. There's also like many groups who are full of actors and other artists who are pushing back against this merger happening.
Mm,
I think like Jane Fonda, Io Debris, amongst others, have already signed letters to like not let this happen. Also, there are certain lawmakers who are trying to stop this. So I don't know if any of these will be successful because Warner Brothers is like already out the door with it, basically. Like they're signing on to it.
yeah,
So I'm not really sure what's gonna happen, but I do know that from the artist perspective, this is pretty bad.
yeah. The creatives that are supporting, like, it's a Venn diagram. The creatives that are also pro this merger and also anti AI are usually the same group. Like you got guys like Quentin Tarantino that are okay with this merger and okay with AI. It's clear that there's a major dividing line, and it's the people who are pro the merger and pro AI in film aren't the people you would expect it to be.
Yeah, I
Like
think that's true.
I'm not surprised.
It's like him, James Cameron.
There are some I'm concerned with, like, Ben Affleck. I'm kind of like, wow, that's especially big. Like, I don't think Ben Affleck has spoken out about the merger, but he has spoken about AI. That was kind of like, okay, I didn't expect that from you. But they're usually the same people on both sides. It's not surprising who is okay with it and who's not. So
Yep. Yep, yep, yep. So in terms of box office, though, the biopic Michael, which is a
mm,
movie based on Michael Jackson, just had the biggest biopic opening ever. It opened to $97 million domestically and 217.4 million worldwide this weekend. And it's the second biggest opening in 2026 behind the Super Mario Galaxy movie. The entire third act had to be tossed and reshot after the estate lawyers discovered a settlement clause barring the on-screen depiction of one of Jackson's accusers, Jordan
mm,
Chandler. Reshoots ran at $15 million, pushing the budget to around 200 million. Screenwriter John Logan's home was damaged in the Palisades fire, adding more delay, and the film landed over a year past its original release date. Even though critics have largely panned it, it has a 38% on Rotten Tomatoes. It seems like the audiences don't care. Like, even though the film doesn't talk about the child sexual abuse allegations at all,
mm,
that defined much of Jackson's later career. Um, I think that like this is a big deal because it's just like I guess studios have been looking for bigger projects to kind of bring in more money since like post-pandemic, post-strikes and stuff like that. They've been like looking for movies to kind of get things back on track. I feel like things have sort of started getting back on track in terms of like this movie and Project Hail Mary and stuff like that. And The Mandalorian and Grogu that's coming out in May. The Devil Wears Prada 2 is also coming out next month. Mortal Kombat 2. So they have some big kind of tentpole stuff coming out in the next couple of months. In terms of the movie Michael itself, I have not gone to see it and I won't
no,
because his estate will not get a penny from me.
no,
And I do feel like there are a lot of audiences who were just going to come out and see this movie regardless because it's Michael Jackson and he still has like a huge audience base. But I do also feel like the fact that they aren't mentioning any of his, you know, um, what I don't even know, like allegations, scandals. Janet Jackson is not mentioned at all in this movie. Like, there's just a lot of stuff there they tried to gloss over. Even though I think the original script, like, they did intend to put some of that stuff in there, but I also do feel like musical biopics are always a by the numbers kind of situation, anyways.
yeah,
So, especially when the estate is involved, are they ever gonna be like 100% honest? Like, no. Like, so it's just kind of like it's kind of all over the place. I don't know. I don't know who acts for this movie. I don't even think that you could make a Michael Jackson movie anyways. Like it's just too much stuff. And I feel like some party or another is gonna like if someone wanted to talk about all of the allegations, like they probably wouldn't have gotten access to the music. And if you don't have access to the music, then you
you
can't
have no
really make the
movie.
movie. So
Yeah,
it's this just did not need to be made. That's kind of how I feel about it.
especially with Michael Jackson, it's kind of very polarizing because there's so much we know and so much we don't know. And considering the fact we've had multiple documentaries, Finding Neverland, we've had the one with Martin Bashir, who's also interviewed Princess Diana. We had a interview docu series when Michael was alive, talking about everything, including his the scandals that surrounding him, lawsuits, all that stuff. We had, of course, some of the seminal black movies, the Jackson Five Great American Story, which also includes the whole family as well, because you cannot talk about Michael without talking about his family.
Hmm.
So we had that. And like you said, the trend of these musical biopics with it's kind of like checking off a list like Bruce Springsteen has on when he's alive. The only good musical biopic I've seen so far like is Elton John's, because he also a bit takes a piss out of himself, and the movie itself is also a giant like music video in a way, and it's clearly with Elton John was like, this is, I want a biopic on myself, this is the vision I want to get across. He had like, so that's the only good musical biopic about somebody who's died. Michael Jackson died almost like 20 years, but
Yeah.
still, probably a bit too soon as well, for a Michael biopic, especially with all this go. It's like somebody asking for like a O.J. Simpson documentary, but you stop before
They did that one.
well, it's like you stop before the trial, or if you wrote If I Did It and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
So that's the thing, because you also have to recognize, how do I edify this person in a way, but also treat them as a human being, all their flaws and all. So
Yeah, and they didn't seem like they were willing to do that.
um, in other major news, so of course, two highly touted movies that were supposed to be released consecutively. Of course, this is the Brendan Fraser, Raquel Weisz Mommy movie. It's now being moved to 2027, and Michael B. Jordan and Austin Butler's Miami Vice on 1985 moves to 2028. Two movies I'm really looking forward to. I love the fact that, like, of course, Michael Mann did a Miami Vice remake in about 2007, 2006. I watched it, but it was very much Michael Mann, and not Michael Mann in a good way. It gave me more Michael Bay than Michael Mann in a way. But this movie is supposed to actually cover that actual, like, the first season of the show, or because I don't know if people have ever seen Miami Vice. It's a fire show. Like, I'm of course I'm an 90s baby. I'm Miami born and raised, so that's ingrained in me to have seen Miami Vice at some point growing up. Amazing show. Phil Collins in it is a banger. You play that, your man is in the zone. But it's also going to be an homage and fit in the era as well. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. Of course, the Mummy, like Brendan Fraser. Like, people forget. Like, I don't think we forget. Brendan Fraser was that dude in Hollywood. Like, that man had the looks, the swagger. You put him in any role, he would knock it out the park. But stuff with Weinstein like derailed his career. That was also why when he did The Whale and he did his comeback, we were all joyous for him, because basically grew up watching Brendan Fraser as that guy in Hollywood. But yeah, I have two movies I'm looking forward to. I'm kind of like a little bit upset that Miami Vice got pushed back a year, but at least that also gives the creative team more time to do that. Well, this movie is also being directed by Joseph Kosinski, of course, in Top Gun Maverick and F1.
Yeah.
If you've seen those two movies, he's going to do an amazing job with this movie as well. So,
All right. Well, I think that's it from us this week. We hope that you're all doing well and taking care of yourselves. Make sure to check all of our social media, support us if you can, and we will see you guys in the next episode.